All right, Busia for your mamunina akwaba kesiye eba HRE TV so it must say any more support kesiye amodi abaye. So far so good. And on the best show that you can have every Monday on your screens, Time with Tatapsen. Sabre baby I will be a home check kesiye na minimum. Minimum one womb. The weather is very weathering and the cold is colding. Into no maybe I will be I'm sure keep warm, be safe, and also um, let's make sure say we have some good measurements that you're taking to be able to take care of ourselves whilst this weather is going forth and make sure just be mindful with the weather. Snow is what I'm saying. So just in case you are having what to make us say? What to make us sure my thumbs up?
Yeah, BBI okay, PK.
Okay, now
Esako.
okay, all right. Not that we producer say me or feedback into now. I was trying to make sure say if me saw two mics into here. All right, may I say. Like I said, the snow is pretty bad, so wherever you at, and make sure say you're safe driving out. If you are, you're not supposed to, but if it's an emergency, and I say be out here, first responder or caregiver, now please be safe driving to and from wherever you're going. We do care about you guys. Once again, welcome to the show, Time with Tatapsen, the only best show on your screens every Monday from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. At this point, I'd like to thank all sponsors for being with us all this while and being dedicated as well. Big thanks to Feel Good Services. Feel Good Services for being there for us in case you're looking for a mental health um, speaker or someone to help you in terms of any speeches that has to do with mental health. Please look no further about Feel Good Services at gmail.com and they'll be able to help you and walk you through the process as well. Also, I'd like to recommend Feel Good Homes to you. Feel Good Homes has apartments all over Pokwase, Adringano, East Legon Hills, and also they have a 4-bedroom home that is going for a very cool price. So please reach out if you're interested, and it will marvel you at the type of building or house that you can also own. And you too can be a homeowner in Ghana. The number to reach out is 5+1 513 372 5758, or still reach out to them at feelgoodservices@gmail.com. Please make sure you tell them PK sent you and that you want your discount as well. All right. We would also like to say big thanks to our brother Aboku and Mr. Kwame for such a great program that they're still doing for the community in terms of financial talk, or maybe you need some financial freedom. You can please reach them out so that they can help you with your tax-free retirement strategies, estate and probate costs, debt-free college education, life insurance. The most important one that I really like to echo on is the life insurance. So please, 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 please reach out to them, and you can contact them at these two numbers. Mr. Aboku at 805 930 7950, and Mr. Kwame Sakwa at 631 918 0908. Last but not the least is Tatapsen. At this point, if you don't have Tatapsen, please bow your head down in shame and let's say a prayer for you. I know say each and everyone has Tatapsen right now, but there are some people who are not here with us who don't have Tatapsen. Those are the ones that this message is for. Please make sure you send warm regards to them, and also tell them to download the app and make sure they put in the promo code PK, P-KAY, so that once they send $50 and above, they can get $20 on their first transaction on pay with that at the end. On top of that, once they send me a receipt of that transaction, I can go ahead and get them. I will go ahead and get them a bag of rice for them to try their nums per day. Exactly, try their nums per day. So please download the app. And if you already have the app, please keep sending money back home because this is what we do to give back to the society. And you will never have any platform or money sending platform sponsoring such a huge event twice a week. UK's every UK's at every on every Thursday around 2:30 p.m. and that is the US Eastern time. And back in the UK will be around 7 p.m. and also right here in the States every Monday at 6 p.m. So please support the good cause and let's all give back to the society. With that being said, we will be discussing a very great and short topic today, taxes and how to lower our debt with our very own brother, Nana Kwame AKOWUAH, the legend. Yeah, I think he's already hit legendary status on HITV. So please, if your family members are not here right now, please get them here. Share the link. We are live on Facebook, HITV, YouTube, HITV, and also Facebook, Tatups in Ghana. Please share any of these links so that your loved ones can also join. And also don't forget to send the Zoom link out so that everyone can be a part of it and partake in today's topic. Without much ado, I'd like to go ahead and stop by the chambers of Tatupsen so the director can give us any updates from their end. Director,
PK, Major Sue. Is it a Michelle and man who's a what do pa?
Yeah, I don't know about. Please put in the comment section if you have ever seen this kind of snow before in your life. Just put in the comment section if you ever had experienced this level of snow. Say being crazy for an idea. Who's no do that kind of level. Phyllis and not me. And Phyllis, I think you're in Kentucky, right? So it looks like this is the hardest that has even not I won't say the hardest, but one of the hardest. And since Sensei says maybe 5 times. Yeah, second time from Roseman. Okay, director, my update. We read all their comments as they bring in.
I was for our do be a can host be uncle by the fireside, be uncle Clinton and Jahona. Show me be show no be a hot sika Samson ye canty. I mean, sika de bassa now be hot, or be a home ever Georgia no say. Anyway, so official part last week or more mama no your afefo from still official part no is still functional. Abusuafo said the more amunim no tap there say the abusua bia like a family calendar, right? So it should be at the wall. You kind of say entrance, need the horn welcome or back here. Nina just say, I hope it will be or have be a tap on the phone. So and not alone, moon try na moon inviting crowd no moon joining abusuano. Then you come. Your small update be a the bema because year na started. We want now we're going international. More questions are more deba, ideas are more deba, and one you can boom my app no a very great. One of the best apps are send sika we say. In fact, I made me rate him and say the best because the innovation that is coming out, what we've been doing, the way our customer service speed, BBR, say top notch. Yeah, and so. We've been talking about the wallet this year. The wallet, call live. America, Ubia and Saka. Canada, we are still on it. Now America, we in Canada to us nye idea emu between biasa. And the advantage of the wallet and they say, "Utimi diskato." Now, secondly, you can send wallet to wallet. To say PK or wallet and wallet and me person me sending this guy is very quick. So my
Director, you bit my some small life with demonstration with my
demonstration, yeah.
To cast the best $100 be mommy. Now come in fan say, oh, I didn't know I pick you.
Unfortunately, me ba share me studio on me jam me phone wo baby nti me need access to my phone. So wo anka wo send my nanka Omu ye. We share screen and anka send na.
I'll come back now and next week maybe the dance one say.
Hey, me picky. You could ya. Tina, what do we? Episode 20. Not just said you hold a quick. I mean, we send a quick. And with the wallet, so we send this canona a failure. It comes back to the wallet. Sometimes, yeah, not bureaucratic reasons. Sika ntimi 3 to 4 days, 5 days because of obang, you know, and you decide. But when you have the wallet, I mean, we have control over the money. It's physically failure for whatever reason. Maybe an any panel wallet I am Ghana. I mean, nipa na was send a man no the wallet na am na say I was say bounce back. Sika ba you have the option to choose say enter wallet in and I say and call back to bank accounts. And when it goes back to the bank accounts, it takes the usual time, 3 to 5 days or whatever, depending on the bank you operate in. But say open is a fast, maybe an emergency. You just click and say enter wallet in him so you can control it and send it fast. The next thing we do in this AI need is to say about I think last year we had educative programs applicating for bar so bachelor AI and the advancement of these technologies. What we're about to do right now is the WhatsApp will back the WhatsApp but we are embedding WhatsApp on the app where you only type $1,000 to PK in Ghana bank accounts not straight to send it very quick response and so ne contact no will be quicker. Inti PK kakra yewo ema mo no de aka no ye bedi ho nkomo next week ne de ni nyina to aso na ye besere mo nso program ya ye I mean we are the only app that want to inform I mean giving back to the society. That's what we're doing, right? Until you try say you be educate and crop for kakran na mo sending a so for so na yetimi ye programs to say into the only app no kra na de bra betie bi utie bi na ho si ensa no adwuma efe ya no yaduane na eda na afi mo download app no aka kire onu aso so download bi nti saa kakra bi na meka che ye wie so a obi o question bia ana suggestion ana whatever no after the show anka Jimmy so wo a obi team me da mase bebre.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Director Kenya said after this segment is going to be a time focus, startups and focus with Uncle Jimmy and the ambassadors. So again, it's Uncle Jimmy and the ambassadors. I think that sounds like a very good music group, or Uncle Jimmy and the ambassadors. Maybe we should think about it. Maybe their first album track will be Tap, Tap, Send. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you and welcome to the show Time with Startup Send, hosted by your prolific host, the one and only Dr. PK for ASENSO. You can call me PK for short. And we will have a great show tonight. Our brother Nana Kwame AKOWUAH, please, if you are here, let me let me hear your hands up as your party. Nana, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself. Because apparently producer can find you to make you a co-host. So Nana, if you can hear me, please. I think your wife came on, so I'm not sure if you're coming on with your wife's. Okay, he says I'm here. Let me go ahead. Producer, the name Kwame, Nana Kwame. Why you know your friend is Nana Kwame Akowadia, Obiebio, because we had issues with hackers, so we muted everyone. We only unmute them when it's time for them to ask questions. So please try to put your full name so the producer can. Now you're muted, so try to unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted, but
your video. Producer, how do we allow him to turn his video on? There you go. Producer did the magic, so we are here. Can you hear me now? No, you're muted. I think you are muted. No, you are not mute, but I can hear you.
sorry, my mic was muted.
Okay.
You can hear me now clearly, right?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. How have you been, PK Afishapa?
I think I'm better here. I've been doing great. I've been doing phenomenal. I don't know how you guys are feeling over there with the cold. What are the roads looking like?
Oh,
The snow.
really, really bad. I think like now kind of for a long time, yeah, this bad before. We've had it before, but this one was, I think, one of the worst in many years.
Yeah, I think the last time that we had it, I was in Ghana, so I missed it.
Okay.
I think I came a day after, and the one prior to that, I was stationed in Portugal, so I missed that one too. But this one, yeah, not lie, I
You
have
know,
endured it.
PK, I came to this country in 2008. Do you know that December 2008, I was inside for 1 whole month. It was really bad snow. I didn't have a car. I was a student. But Michigan is, we get it bad, but the past few years it hasn't been as bad as it is this time. So we'll take what we get.
So, are
But
you talking to us from the house or from the office?
I'm in the office. I'm in the office.
Why you were still able to make it out?
Yes, well, the roads are clear now. Yesterday was really bad. Today the roads are clear. Everything is, Michigan, because of the bad snow, we always have the trucks going out and
Got you,
clearing
got
the
you.
road and the salt. So we are always prepared for that. So the recovery period is very short in Michigan. It's not as, a lot of other states are not always prepared for this kind, but we have it a lot. So
Okay.
all our roads are clear now.
And if we can, Phyllis said she's never had that. And also, Sensei, is it Sensei says maybe 5 times. Bossman said, yeah, second time. Oh, Bossman, sorry, right? Phyllis says, yes, but I've been living in Worcester for 10 years. And okay, this is serious.
Yeah.
And I think there were some other comments too concerning that.
Actually, our kids went to school today. So
Oh, wow, that's crazy because our kids were canceled.
yeah, now so many schools were canceled across the country, but our kids went to school today.
Good for you. Well, since you are having a little better day than we are, can you just tell us how taxes are around the corner? Pretty much this is tax season, anywhere from January, December. I'm even go backwards.
It
January,
starts right at, yeah.
January, February, March, or let's say December, January, February, March. It's
Mhm.
all tax season all the way to March, April. I think the last day is in someone April. And when people hear taxes, all they hear is money coming back. All the money that they took from us at the end of the year, they're giving it back to us, or some percentage of it, depending on your tax bracket and also how much you worked. So it's not guaranteed you're gonna get money back. Some people are, but not everyone. Anyway, talk to us about taxes, the broad overview of taxes, and also make sure that you leave your information so that people can reach out to you and contact you in terms of getting their taxes done. On top of that, also let us know how we can lower that, because many a times you have people waiting for taxes just to go buy a new car and piling up debt on debt upon debt, and the debts never leave. So now, how talk to us about taxes and how we can lower our debt with taxes, or
Awesome.
maybe whatever debt that we end up incurring in taxes, we can lower it as well. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, PK, and good evening to everybody. Because I've been on this platform a few times, I really want to share something important to me. PK, I told you about this already. I'm going to be doing my whole presentation for my book that I just launched. It's on Amazon. You can see it there. It's live and ready. You can go and order it, but it's one of those books that through my teachings here on Tap Send, as a tax accountant, I work with so many different people, wealthy to people that are living on the government, and then all the in between. So I really took all of the experiences and the thousands of clients that I have, and then used it to write my book, and it has a little bit of my personal story. So I wanted to share that so that, one, you can support, and two, you can also get more information about everything I'll be talking about today from the book. A little bit about me. Most of you know me here, so I'm not going to spend time on this, but my name is KWAME AKOWUAH. I own my own CPA firm with my partner, Zikora. My partner is from Nigeria, actually. So we always have the Nigeria Ghana banter, but we are the only black CPA firm north of Detroit. We've been in this business close to half a decade now, and we've done quite a bit of work here, and we do a lot of personal finance development and all of that. So reach out to me, let me know, I will share my information so you can contact me with questions on taxes, finance, personal development, all of that. This is our busy season. But just getting into the details for today. One of the things about finance and taxes, all of you would attest to this. It can be very boring. It can be very boring. It can be very tasking in terms of the information. But you cannot deny that it's really, really important. Every one of you here, if you live in the United States, this affects you. So I would please plead with everybody listening. Yes, it's boring, but try to listen as much as possible. The unique thing about this presentation this year that I'm doing on TapTapSend is also there's been a lot of changes in the tax law, right? Some can benefit from it, some you may not benefit from it. But the goal is just understand so you can protect yourself from overpaying in taxes. We do a lot of tax planning, and I can always tell you on average, all my clients that do tax planning save $5,000 to $10,000 more than the clients I have that do not do tax planning. And that can make a huge difference in your finances. And a lot of it is just, it takes about, within the year, an hour or two of your time to sit down and plan and organize, and then be able to strategize so that you can take advantage of taxes. A lot, you trust me, and sometimes even for those that always get a refund, tax planning can increase that refund. Okay. For those of you that always file taxes, and because maybe you have a lot of kids or you don't make a lot of money, so you get a refund, good tax planning can increase that amount. And then for those of you that pay because you make a lot of money and your family structure doesn't allow you to make any money back, great tax planning can save you more money on how much you pay. So that's really important. So I always want to encourage everybody here. If you have your own tax accountant, do tax planning with them before the end of the year. If you don't, come to us. We will help you do some tax planning and help you build a better tax, system so that you are always in a better place financially. So one of the things that a lot of people do on this, that we encounter is people only see me once a year. A lot of my tax clients, they always come in and then they see me once a year. That's fine. We love to see you once a year. But like I said, those that see me more than once a year are the ones that are always benefiting from the knowledge and then the research that we have. We put a lot of work through the year, researching, trying to find systems to help you save money on taxes. So, the system of taxes in this country, the tax law for those is thousands of pages. No one person knows it all, but thanks to the internet and the IRS, their systems, we're able to research and always find loopholes to help you really save money on taxes and protect you from getting in trouble with the IRS. So, and then when we do tax planning, it takes you away from any financial anxiety. So this is what so this is how you can think about it if you are going to file your taxes. I was trying to read the questions on the side, making sure nobody is asking a question that I'm missing. So the first thing when it comes to taxes that you need to think about income.
We will ask the questions after you're done with the presentation. So I'm pretty sure people are taking notes right now, and we'll do the questions.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Just flow.
Okay. So the first thing you need to be mindful of is your income, the money coming into you. There's so many ways that income comes to you. That is the core, because the government is looking to tax you on your income. For those of us that W-2 income, meaning you get your income from a paycheck. Your paycheck will always have multiple lines, right? It's actually 3 sections, but 6 lines. Section 1 is line 1 and 2. Line 1 will tell you about your total income you receive, the gross income. Then box 2 will say federal taxes withheld. So you have your gross income and the federal taxes withheld. That is the amount of taxes your employer has given to the IRS on your behalf. So that is the taxes you've already paid to the government. Then line 3 and 4 is your Social Security, and then line 4 and 5 is your Medicare, and yeah. But line 1 and 2 is the most important one. The line 2 is how much taxes your employer or whoever gave you that Social Security has sent to the IRS on your behalf. So if you receive a W-2, that means you've already paid some of your taxes. If it's 0, that means you did not pay taxes to the IRS. So when you file your taxes with W-2, then the government is going to take that amount on line 1 based on your family situation and all of the credits that we will be talking about. They will determine how much taxes you actually owe. So when that is determined, then they will take the line 2, how much taxes you paid to the IRS. And if the amount you pay to the IRS is bigger than the taxes you owe on the tax forms we are filing for you, then you get a refund. I'm going to repeat that statement again. If the amount your employer sent to the IRS on your behalf, that is in box 2, is bigger than how much taxes you owe on the taxes we are filing for you, then the difference is what is given to you in refund. Remember, there's credit and all of those things. I'm not talking about that right now. I'll be talking more about that. But if the taxes that we come up with on your tax filing is bigger than the amount of taxes your employer gave to the IRS, then you will owe the difference. This point is really important because most of the time, outside of credits, the amount of money you are getting back is money you are already paid to the IRS. They are giving it back to you. That's why they call it refund. They are refunding you funds you've already given to them. Okay? So that's really important. If you are 1099, that means you're a contractor. You work for yourself. So they give you cash or they give you a check, but they don't give you a paycheck. So they don't take out taxes or anything like that. When you receive a check like that, there's a few things you really, really want to be mindful of. Number 1 is that Social Security line 2 and line 3 and 4, the Social Security of line 3 and 4, and then the Medicare line 4, line 5 and line 6 is Social Security and Medicare. Those 2 numbers, your employer paid half of it for you and then you paid half. Those 2 numbers come up to about 15%. But when you get a paycheck, of course, it's taken out automatically, and then the government requires your employer to pay half of that, half of the 15% for you. So when you get a 1099 contractor check, because you are your business, you are liable for that whole 15%. So if you receive $10,000 for doing a contract, that $10,000, about $1,500 of it has to be given back to the IRS for your Social Security and your Medicare. Sometimes people try to step away from this. If the only income you are making is contractor income, and you try to avoid paying the Social Security and the Medicare, it can affect you when you are ready to retire. I have a lot of stories for that, where people that own their own business, they've owned their business for their lifetime. They come in and then they sit with me, and then we log into their Social Security, and then we find out they have no points, so they can't receive Social Security. So you need to be mindful of that. That is why this takes a lot of planning. if you are planning to, it's good to retire and be guaranteed some amount of money from Social Security. So if you're a contractor and all that you are making is from Social Security, then you want to be mindful of that. But you also want to be mindful of the immediate tax burden because you have to pay that 15%. But that is not the only taxes. After the 15%, you also have to pay the income tax, depending on which tax bracket you fall in. So a lot of people, for the 10,000, you can even end up paying 2,500, 3,000, 1,500 of it going to just your Social Security and Medicare is called the FICA, and then the other going to your income taxes. So self-employment income or contractor income can be very, very expensive. I'm going to repeat that again. Self-employment income or contractor income can be expensive. And you get a lot of people that hear, well, if you start your own business, you can write off a lot of things. That is true, but it's not always true because we always find people that make so much money from business and they feel like they can write off things. And at the end of the year, they made money. Even after the write-offs, they made money. And because they made money, they owe so much taxes and then they are upset. So you have to be careful the information you hear and how you apply it. I'll say it again. You'll hear it so many times today because that's the best way to avoid taxes. Tax planning. If you are in that situation, tax planning is your best bet to help yourself from finding out that you owe money that you don't have resources to pay for. Okay, so that is the income. I didn't mean to go that long, but it's really important because that's where a lot of people get caught up. And then there's adjustments. Of course, your contributions to IRA, those can be taken away from your income. If you have health savings account, HSA, student loan interest, those are all ways you can bring your income down. That's what they call it, adjustments. And then there's deductions. Deductions are interesting, but there's two major types, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time here because there's some laws changes that I'll be talking about that I need you to understand this part. There are two major types of deductions that most people will encounter. There is a standard deduction, and then there is the itemized deduction. The standard deduction, it's a specific number, standard number that almost everybody within the United States has it. So if you're a citizen or permanent resident, when you file taxes, you get your standard deduction. The numbers change from year to year, but each year, whatever the standard deduction is, that's what everybody is. I want to give you the exact number. So this year is 15,750, meaning every person that files taxes. So if you made, let's say 50,000, let me use 100. If you made $100,000 this year, so you filed the taxes, you're a single person, you made $100,000. When you have standard deduction, the government says that, okay, for your $100,000, we will only tax you on 84,250. That 15,750, you are not going to be taxed on it. That is the standard deduction. So they are deducting that 15,750 from your income. So you are only taxed on the 84,000 number. So that's number one. If you are married, that number doubles. So you and your wife made 100,000. So now your standard deduction is 31,500. So if you are married and you made that 100,000, each one of you get 15,750. So now, because you are married with your spouse, that 100,000 only 68,500 will be taxed if the math is correct. I think yes, 68,500. So because you are married, the government is doubling it up for you. So those are some of the numbers you have to know. And then when you are head of household, it's a different number, but I want you to catch the drift. That's a standard deduction. But sometimes people are able to, the government also has the alternative to standard deduction, which is called the itemized deduction. You cannot do both. You can do one or the other. The itemized deduction, the government has specific things you are able to itemize and deduct those instead of your standard deduction. If when you itemize, it's more than the standard deduction. And some of those things, including home interest, state and local taxes, and I'll be talking about state and local taxes especially. And that is for those of you who are giving money at church. All of those things are part of the itemized deduction. So if you give money at church, you do all of those things, you add all of those things together, there's limit to how much of it you can take away. So for example, if you give money at church, you can only take up to 10% of your AGI. So there's a limit to it, but all of those are added. And if they are more than your itemized deduction, your standard deduction, then you can go with that amount. And sometimes that can help you as well. So those are the two types of deductions you can get, and those are important for tax planning, because sometimes if you plan very well, your itemized deduction can really help you pay small. Because if your standard is, let's say you and your wife, your standard is 31,500. Sometimes you can itemize and get up to $50,000. So now you're only paying taxes on the $50,000. You made 100,000. If you do standard, you're only getting 31,000 reduced. If you itemize, you can get up to 50, 60. It doesn't matter. As long as you are itemized and you get however the total it comes up to, you can deduct that from your income. So keep that in mind. So the fourth thing is the credits applied, resulting in either a refund or balance due, and I explained that in the beginning. So I hope that makes sense. Like you said, at the end of the presentation, we can discuss any questions as they come. So with that being said, I want to take time and go through some of these changes that can have an impact on most of us here based on how we file our taxes. One of the first things is, in the past, people who had children could get $2,000 for child tax credit, right? For child tax credit, you can get up to $2,000. Now it's up to $2,200, right? And then with 1,700 of it being refundable for eligible taxpayers. So the way the credits work, sometimes you get the credit, but they are not refundable. All that means is that if I owe taxes, the credits, I can get up to 2,200 to clean up all the taxes I owe. But let's say I file taxes and I don't owe any taxes, you can get only 1,700, but the IRS will pay you that 1,700 because they won't give you the whole 2,200. So sometimes not all of your credits are refundable. So that always trips people up. There are some credits that they give you, but they don't give it to you in cash or in a check or in a refund. They give it to you to apply to the taxes you owe. And the reason why that is important information is because if you know how these credits work, you'll be very strategic on how you apply them. Because some years, based on your income activity, you owe more, so you want to take advantage of these credits those times. And sometimes you don't owe too much, you are getting money back anyways, so you want to plan with these credits strategically. That's why it's important to do the tax planning. I'm plugging it again, it's really important. Then the SALT cap. So this has been going around. A lot of people have been hearing, oh, the SALT cap moved from $10,000 to $40,000. It used to be $10,000. What that means is, remember I told you about the standard deduction and then the itemized deduction. In the itemized deduction, the government gave limitations on the different things that you can itemize. One of the things that had a limitation was the SALT cap. SALT means state and local taxes. State and local taxes. It used to be $10,000. So many people, so many wealthy people did not qualify to itemize because even if they are paying so much real estate taxes on their house, they could only get up to $10,000 on that real estate tax. And then with you, of course, you know how much the itemized, the standard deduction is. It's almost 30,000. So you get that 10,000, you get your contributions to church and all of that. They almost never make more in the itemized deduction section to itemize over the standard deduction. The standard deduction was really high. Now that they've increased the state and local taxes to 40,000, a lot of the people that have one very expensive homes or people that make really good money and are paying so much in their state and local taxes, when they itemize, their itemized deduction can be really high because they can take up to 40,000 of those state and local taxes and deduct it. And if you add 40,000 to your donations and everything, that can really get you a good amount of itemized deduction. So there are so many people this year that will get some level of write-off on their taxes based on this SALT cap, but not everybody qualifies. If you are, this is more so for people that are paying a lot of money for state and local taxes, which a lot of it comes from your real estate taxes. If you look on your house, one of the challenges with houses, if you own a good home, they take a lot of taxes that you pay to the local government on your taxes. So that is for you to know. So that is what the SALT cap is. It mainly means your state and local taxes that you pay that you get to write off. And then the 1099K threshold for payment. So Venmo, PayPal, and all of these other business transactions. So there's a threshold where you can start reporting, right? And now it's $20,000. So this is really helpful for those of you who are doing the like a 1099. So if you have a hobby, let's say you have a hobby, that's a better one. Remember, a hobby is different from business. If you have a business, you have a business, that's separate. Sometimes people have a hobby. Let's say you cook for people as a hobby because you love it. Those two things are treated differently on your taxes. And not to bore you with the details, if you have a hobby, it doesn't mean you have a business. Those are two different things. So you can receive 1099 from a hobby that you partake in, and that if it's a hobby, you don't pay the self-employment tax that I talked to you about, that 15% FICA tax. You don't pay it because it's a hobby. But there's a reporting threshold, right? So you need to be careful. And then there's a lot of qualified deductions, and it's called the Big Beautiful Bill. It has a lot of different tax things. But the two things that most people are going to see this year is a child tax credit and a SALT cap. Those two things, a lot of people are going to see that and then be able to either take advantage of it, or if depending on the situation you find yourself in, if you have kids, you'll be able to see those differences on your taxes. Okay, but we can talk more about those as the questions come up. All right, now moving forward, I talked to you about the W-2. So the reason why I have these three lanes is these are the lanes that most people find themselves in. Most people either have a W-2, I explained it in detail. Most people either have a 1099, meaning they work as a contractor and that's all they do. And if you do that, that means you are receiving the 1099 NEC. NEC just means non-employee compensation. You are being compensated, but not as an employee because you're a contractor. Or your 1099K, which I talked about, if you are receiving that from PayPal or any of those payment platforms, that means you are selling products. If you sell products through Amazon receives money on your behalf, 1099K is what they will be sending you. Oh, and then one of the things you need to file is a Schedule C if you are limited liability. If you are not a partnership, or you are just you are sole proprietor, that's the word, sole proprietor, you mostly file Schedule C. And then the Schedule SE is a schedule for self-employment. That is where you calculate your self-employment tax and everything. The most important thing you have to note, if you are 1099 contractor, the best thing you can do for yourself is track all your expenses, because that's how you reduce the income you owe. Just track everything. I can't tell you how many times people will come and sit. Every year we go through this. Somebody will come and sit down in front of me. They have a business, the business made money, they received all these 1099 from Uber and all of those things. And then they don't have the expenses. They didn't track their gas, their mileage, their food. And now they are trying to estimate, they are trying to, call it off their head. That's so dangerous because if the IRS sees it, they will audit you. You don't want that. Just track it so you have your evidence. And that is good for your accountant because when you bring the evidence, we keep it. So if you are ever audited, we have the information to respond on your behalf so you don't even have to deal with it. But if you don't do that, if you get an audit letter, we just let you handle it because we did not, we don't have the information to respond on your behalf. So those are things I want you to be mindful of. A lot of people fall into the third lane where they are working and they are also doing a side gig. That is fine. You still file the Schedule C, but all of these things also apply to you. The most important thing is tax planning. If you find yourself in any of this situation, plan, and then you'll be good. Okay. Moving forward, I know there'll be questions. So we are kind of getting into the debt. What I did is I kind of mixed so I'm transitioning gradually into the debt. There are a few dates that I want you to be mindful of. If you are doing estimated taxes, then you, of course, April 15th is when you start paying those. The first quarter is due April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. So that's for those who do estimated taxes. Okay. So the way that I always encourage people to do when they are planning, if you know you are going to owe taxes, one of my biggest strategies, and I encourage people to do this, is have what they call the 3-bucket system. Okay, it's a very popular thing that people, it's easy. All you're doing is you have savings account. One of them is a short-term savings. The other one is a long-term between 3 to 10 years. And then the other one is 11 to. And all of these are different asset classifications based on how much money you want it, how fast you want the things to grow. But the first bucket is where you save money for your taxes at the end of the year. That is your short-term savings, right? So like a money market or simple savings account from your bank. That's where you put all your estimated tax liability. You save it there. And the reason why I encourage this is so many people, especially those of you doing well, most of the refund you get is the government giving you your money back. Well, if the government is giving you your money back, the money you've overpaid on your taxes, what if you pay the least amount of taxes through the year? Then you save the difference so you can make money on your money. And at the end of the year, you have the money to pay your taxes. I do this for so many of my clients, especially those in the medical profession that do really well financially. They really, because some of them, they end up paying $40,000, $50,000 in taxes. Well, if you put $40,000 even at 5%, right? That's a lot of money to save. And if you are getting $2,000, $3,000 in interest or $8,000 in interest, that interest can go a long way. So rather than paying a chunk of money to the government just so you don't owe money, sometimes you can, put some of them in a savings account, and then at the end of the year, just write one check to the government from that account and then be on your merry way. But those things only happen with good tax planning. Okay. So with that being said, like I said, all of this is high level overview. The key to really benefiting from taxes is tax planning. One of the things about that, as I do a lot of financial planning, what I am seeing is the biggest reason that people get themselves into financial stress is credit card debt. That is the number one challenge I've seen. A lot of people can manage their mortgage. A lot of people can manage their car loans. A lot of people can manage those loans because they are always not high interest. Credit card debt is really one of the most destructive debt out there, and this is why. The average credit card is about 21%. Currently, mortgages is about 7%. Some car loans are even cheaper because it's a shorter term. But 21% is really high. So if you have $1,000, that means you are paying $210 every year. That's a lot of money. If you have 10,000, that means you are paying 2,100 every year as interest. That interest does not even include the principal. So it's a lot of money. So people that have credit card debt are always in a stress situation. And so if you can strategically plan and reduce your credit card debt, that is the number one challenge most American households face when it comes to managing debt. Of course, all the other debt play a role, so you want to be mindful of that. So the key thing here is your cash flow. You know, it's cash flow is how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. One of the foundational principles of financial planning: make more than you spend. It's a very simple principle, but it really works. Just make sure you're always bringing in more than you are spending. And then you want to lower your interest rate. So you want to stop using credit cards too much. The best way to do it is if you use it, pay it off. If you use the debt, pay it off. So you don't have to always be stuck with those high interest. The credit card, that's the best way to manage it. In fact, in my book, I talk about a whole budgeting strategy around credit cards that it works like magic, but it really, really, really works well for so many people. When you look at the budgeting system that I have covered in there, and then even the debt management. But your goal is to lower your interest and then begin to monitor your behavior, right? So this is one of the steps, 5 steps things I cover in the book. And one thing I want to talk about is everything that I'm teaching you, from the taxes to the debt management, I use it myself. This is not me coming up with, this is things that I've used in my journey. That's why I talk about the journey, because it's been a journey for me there. I went through really rough financial situations over the years. It was a stressful time, but through some of these principles that I learned, I was able to work myself out. And not only me, I have had the chance to counsel so many people over the years. In fact, I've taught classes, I've done work, with the colleges and everything on personal finance. So I know that this system works. Okay. So you want to be able to create a simple budget. Like I said, the budget system that I cover in the book is really robust, is amazing. Then you really want to begin to stop the triggers. The challenge that I see when it comes to managing debt, people really get themselves in trouble because as they pay off debt, they keep spending. I'll give you an example. I have one of my clients that when we did their strategic planning, they took out a home equity line of credit. A home equity line of credit is they use their home to raise a loan. Of course, that made sense at the time because you have all these credit cards that are, 21, 26, 27%, killing your cash flow. You go your home, you tap into home equity line of credit, you get a big amount, let's say $50,000, is only charging you 6%. You take that and you pay off all of the credit cards. So now your credit cards are zero. You are not eating up those 21, 22%. Because if you look at a 50,000, 21% on 50,000, that's close to $10,000, or that's over $10,000 on just interest. Now that you brought it to 6%, that's like $600 on interest. Huge difference, right? Massive difference. So now that you've been able to reduce your interest payment, what they did was they ended up starting to use the card again. And that cycle messed them up big time, because what you do is now you have this $50,000 debt that is also accumulating interest, even though it's lower interest is there. Now you've spent the credit card again, so now you've doubled your debt. That habit is one of the biggest ones killing so many people. There is an article I have saved, and this is a Ghanaian family that got featured in Maryland. And I saved this article many years ago, around 2011, because when I started, I've been doing financial coaching for quite a while. And when I read that article, I had to save it. And it talked about how a family that moved from Ghana started off at zero debt when they moved here to over $3 million in debt because they kept refinancing their debt and then taking out home equity lines to pay and then keep spending and then keep refinancing their debt. So that's a very dangerous move if you don't have the discipline. So you really want to avoid that. And the strategy to avoid that is when you, of course, if you find yourself in there, it's fine. You can always build yourself out. When you pay off the debt, just reset, make your expenses less than your income, and then build from there. The debt payment strategy always works, and I'm going to cover a few of the strategies real quick so that if you find yourself in debt right now, I can explain how you can get out of it, in the strategy that I'll be sharing with you. So that's important. And then the second thing is always list. That's how I started. I created an Excel sheet and I listed every debt. Okay, this is the credit card. I have a Capital One credit card. I have $1,000 limit. And then this is how much I've used, $800 of it. The interest is 21%. That I listed every one of them like that. And I had all of them in there, so I understood. Then I wrote down all of the minimum payments. It was a simple Excel sheet. I wrote down all of the minimum payment for each card, so you get a good picture of your total debt. It always starts from writing it down, so you can see it and you can know the extent of debt you have. And then calling to negotiate, that really works. In fact, I had to do that with some of my Amex card when I started the journey, because that thing, what Amex then did was they transitioned the credit into a loan and it reduced the interest rate for me. Now, what that did for me was, because of that, they will say, okay, we'll not give you a credit again. But that was fine. I needed to rebuild. So they moved it into a loan, lower interest rate, moved it from a credit into a loan, paid it off, paid less interest, and then it helped me rebuild. And that can be really important too. And then, so negotiation, please, even if they are going to say, no, it's okay. Here's my philosophy on negotiating with credit card companies and debt companies. When I call, the moment you pick the phone to call them, when I call them, at that moment, I don't have, they haven't given me the negotiations anyway, so I don't have it. So if they say no, there's nothing has changed. I'm still where I am. But if they say yes, I save a lot of money. So it's a win-win for me. You can lose, because if they say no, you are just where you are before you called. If they say yes, at least you have some money saved, and that can help you rebuild faster. And the last thing I'll talk about is automation. All of your minimum payment should be automated. I'm not doing credit today, but your credit can be destroyed with late payment. So just automate as much as you can. Okay. And in fact, with automation, I'll refer back to the budgeting system that I have. It really makes automation simplified.
Just
So,
just to make the automation simpler, auto pay. That's what
yeah, auto pay, yes. So set up an auto pay, just the minimum payment, let it come straight from your account. That way you don't forget stuff. Thank you so much, PK. So the way, when you are trying to pay off debt, okay, when you are trying to pay off debt, there are two key systems that most people know about: the snowball and the avalanche. So the snowball just says, I have all of these debt that I have to pay. I want to take the smallest amount of debt and then pay it off first. Then take the next debt and pay it off. The avalanche says, I have all of these debt that I have to pay. I'm going to take the one with the highest interest rate and pay it off first. And then sometimes you can do a mix of both. The first principle here is, for you to be able to clean out your debt, you have to create an amount of money each month or each period, depending on your lifestyle, weekly, monthly, I don't know. But you have to create a fixed amount of money each period that you'll be throwing towards the debt. And I found out that is one of the best ways to really clean out debt. So for example, let's say I have 4 credit cards and then 1 auto loan, the debt is a lot. So when I look at my budget, I decide, okay, I'm going to dedicate $1,000 to debt payment. That's the first step. The second step is I'm going to make sure that within that $1,000, I have all the minimum payments coming out of that. So let's say all the minimum payments come out to $800. So then I know that one, I'm meeting all the minimum payments. I know that each month $1,000 is going towards all my debt payment. So that's all I have to pay towards my debt, $1,000. So I budget that. So whatever paycheck I'm getting or what business I'm doing, I put 1,000 away for debt payment. If you can open a bank account and just put 1,000 there and let all the debt come out of that account. Just dedicate $1,000 there. Then you set all the minimum payments on auto pay, meaning all the credit cards, the minimum is coming auto pay. So now you will never be late because all the minimum payments are on auto pay. Then you look at these two systems. Now, this is the rule of thumb. I put the rule of thumb on the bottom of the screen. If you are stressed and inconsistent, use the snowball method. Meaning, if you are somebody that is inconsistent, you always find yourself switching off and doing other things, what I recommend is just take the smallest amount of debt. And then remember, I had $1,000. My minimum payment comes to $800. That means I have extra $200. That extra $200, I put it towards the smallest debt first. I don't care what the interest rate is. The smallest debt, I put the $200 towards it. And then when that smallest debt is paid off, I will take the minimum payment of that small debt plus the 200 and apply it to the next smaller debt. So at all times, I'm only paying 1,000, but I'm paying off the debt over time. And each time I'm adding the minimum payment of the debt that I paid off to the next one. Okay, so that's the snowball method, right? And then you realize that gradually you'll be paying off the debt increasingly and faster. That's a snowball. Or if you are very disciplined, you know that you are somebody that you are really well disciplined, you do what you say and you say what you do, then the avalanche method really works well for you because of your discipline. See, I say if you have inconsistency, do the snowball because sometimes paying off debt gives you the motivation to keep going. And that's what you need. You need motivation to keep going. But if you have the discipline, then paying off the highest interest is important. That's a strategy that I would encourage you to use because the highest interest is the true cost of debt. So the interest you owe on the money you owe the bank, that interest is just pure cost. So the paying off the one with the highest interest will save you the most money over the long term. So then you want to focus on the highest interest first. So you do the same thing. You do all the minimum payments, but the 200 is not going towards the smallest debt. The $200 extra, you are putting it towards the debt with the highest interest. That way you pay lesser and lesser interest on that debt, and then you can move forward like that. So those are the two different kinds of systems that you can use. Or you can use a mixture of both, which depending on your debt portfolio, how much debt you have and the different kinds of debt you have, you can use the mixture of both. Whichever one works for you is fine. And that is very different for everybody. My goal, and this is what I do with the book, my goal is not to tell you this is how you become rich or this is how you get out of debt. My goal always is to teach you the different systems out there, and then you can now use whatever works for you and then go which direction you want to go in. And I always make sure that in my presentation, I cover budgeting, I cover debt management, I cover insurance, I cover taxes, credit, and then investments. And all of these topics that I have mentioned, I just explain it in the book in a way that is easy to comprehend, and then you can decide how you want to build your financial system moving forward. Okay. So the hidden connection between debt and taxes. So basically, a lot of people don't understand this, but when you remember, I told you you can call these credit card companies and ask them to reduce your debt. So many people don't know this. But when a credit card company, a bank, or any institution forgives your debt, that debt is an income to you. Let me repeat that again. If you call and then you owe 50,000 on a credit card, you call the credit card company, they say, well, you can pay, we'll reduce it to 40,000. That $10,000, they will send you a 1099-C, and that you would have to pay taxes on that 10,000 that they've forgiven you. It's so important to know this, because sometimes when people get forgiven, they don't know this, and especially if you are asking for forgiveness of debt, that means you are in a financially tight place. Then at the end of the year, you come and sit down and you find out you owe all of this money in taxes. Yes, because they have had to forgive you the debt. So you need to know this ahead of time. So even as you are asking for forgiveness, you are planning for the taxes. So they have this thing that they call the qualified principal residence indebtedness exclusion. That is no more. It is done in 2025, this year. So filing taxes this year, you have it, but next year it won't be there for you. So 2025 December, we are filing the 2025 taxes now. But when we are filing the 2026 taxes next year, this will not be applicable anymore. But this is, some people go and get a home equity line of credit on their homes or anything on their principal residence. And sometimes they get, because of hardship, they get forgiven. Those things, they used to have them affect your, I told you the income. Those things can be written off because it was on your principal residence. So even though you are settling the mortgage shortfall, you are not tax liable for that. You're not going to pay taxes on the forgiveness of that because it was on your principal residence. So if you have if you have a HELOC that your bank forgives you for and it was on your principal residence, this year that can be forgiven. Next year, those things go away. So, and the same with repossession. Okay. So when you have a car repossessed, those can trigger income, and because if you have a car repossessed and they sell it, even if the bank doesn't give you the money, that sale that the bank did, that car, the amount of money they receive can be taxable. So these are just little other things that sometimes people don't know, and then they get impacted by it for taxes. So it's important to be mindful of that. So as you work on your debt, and as you get debt forgiven, as you manage your debt, if you get forgiveness, be careful to understand the tax implication of that, because it always affects people that are already trying to get out of debt. They have forgiven, they're happy about it, and they find out they have to pay taxes on it, and that stresses them out. So this what this is just a strategy that you can always have for tax planning, preparation, and debt, how to save on your debt and how to set it on autopilot. It's a very simple system, but it's really important. I always say it's important to understand all of your debt stuff, all of your tax documents, just gathered all of them. And then what you want to do is, when you do your tax planning, you can anticipate, for those who especially who owe debt at the end of the year, you can anticipate how much taxes you may have to pay, and then create a system. Okay. And then if you are create a tax bucket system, and then if you have a lot of debt, of course, I talked about the avalanche and the snowball method, create an account to also pay off the debt. That $1,000 example that I used, it was just an example, but you can come up with your own number, whatever number it is you want to throw towards your debt, create an account for that. You can also negotiate everything, but the most important thing is, as you negotiate, put on auto pay every minimum payment, every minimum balance. And then I want you to pay attention to this word. I always say the minimum, only the minimum do I always recommend to put on auto pay. The reason why is the extra, you want to control how you pay off. You want to control how you pay off the extra and then where you apply it to, because you have your own system. So the minimum you put on auto pay, because that's all the minimum is what they require. So as long as you meet the minimum, you are golden. Then you can build on the rest. And then review it every quarter, every year. I do it now once a year. It used to be that I was trying to do monthly, and then I moved it to every quarter, and then now once a year is when I review my numbers. Because as you build a system, you become so familiar with it that you don't have to do it every time anymore. Once a year, you do it and you'll be fine. Okay. So I know I've been talking a lot, and I know some of you may have questions. I just want to show a few other resources and then also my information. Some people don't know this, but the IRS has a withholding estimator tool. It's free. So for those who are like, okay, you know, if you want a quick answer, you may not have the chance to talk to an accountant. You want a really quick answer. At minimum, you can use the IRS you can just Google it, IRS withholding estimator tool, and it would tell you how much income you put it in. It will give you a number. It's free. It's on the IRS website. Please just take advantage of it if you need it. The second thing I want to share with everyone, and so many people don't know this, that you can have access to your IRS account and information on your IRS online account. Everybody here should go and set it up. If it's called ID.me. If you don't have it, please do. If you have it, great. So many people don't know that they have balances on their account until I go and check on the IRS. I've had situations where some people didn't know. We went on there, they owed over $60,000. And I've had situations where people have been married and divorced, and then their spouses still filed with their information they didn't know. So when you go online, everybody here has an account with the IRS. The IRS has put everyone's account online. So if you create an account, you get access to it. You will be able to see all of your details. You can even check your refund then, all of those things. So the details is on your IRS account. Just Google IRS online account. And even for those of you who have businesses, all of your business information is online. And you really want to be able to access that at all times, because you don't know what is going on with your account unless you check. And then for those of you with businesses, you can pay for the payroll taxes and then estimate, and you can pay your tax estimate directly on the IRS website. It's called the Electronic Filing Tax Payment System, EFTPS. You can use it to pay all of your estimates and everything. And then the most important step of all, the most important, the one you want to do, visit my website. This is where, if you want to work with me, www.tricitybusinessmi for Michigan.com. Just visit the website, tricitybusinessmi.com. My number is there, 989-695-8160. And then you can always contact me, and then I'll be happy to reach out. And then when you call my admin, you request for an appointment, they will schedule an appointment for us and then we'll talk. Also, in the workbook, a lot of the information I covered today is already in my book, and it's also in my workbook that I use to do classes, and I use that for training. I'm glad I'm almost done. I'm done here because I see the hackers are trying to mess up again. But I've been able to share most of the information I wanted to share. So it's important.
That's my point.
Yeah. Thank you, though. But it's important to know that this is always for informational purposes. I really think that for anybody's situation, please reach out to us. Let's talk. Let's do a one-on-one consultation. That way I can help you specifically.
How much is the consultation?
But consultations are free.
Okay.
When I file your taxes, then we charge for it. When I do tax planning, we charge for it. But consultations are always free.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
All right, now we're going to ask a few questions. We still have over 15 minutes before we wrap up.
Mhm.
And after that, we'll take it from there. So I have this question that was sent to me prior to the show. That is when the the flyer came out. Those are when the questions came. So it says,
Mm.
if you bought a car this year, can you deduct the interest of the car whilst filing taxes?
If
Also, can you also um, can you also do the same thing? Also with tax credit for the kids.
Mhm.
How much is the tax credit for kids? And also, can you also get back the interest that you are paying on any loans, mortgages, and credit cards?
So I want to give you the exact amount. The tax credit for the kids, I already covered it in the presentation.
Was it a 2,200?
Yes, that is the 2,200 that I covered. So this, because of the big beautiful bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of advantages that has come, and these are all new. And one of them is the auto interest. So I want to read this just so we have the exact. And I always like to go straight to the IRS website. So this year, according to the big beautiful bill, you can up to 10,000 of interest you can deduct if you pay that on your car. Okay. And then that's for new vehicle purchase for personal use. Okay. And it has to be assembled in the US. Okay. So it phases out after 100,000, based on if it start to phase out, that doesn't mean you get zero. It just starts to phase out, meaning the amount, when it say phase out, it means the amount reduces little by little as your income goes above 100,000. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can do that.
So what about the interest on the mortgages and the credit card
Yes.
and the
The
loans?
interest on the mortgage, yeah, credit card, no. The interest on the mortgages, yes, that is all part of the itemized deduction. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let me go to um the questions. Um, well, we have a bunch of questions now.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna try to go through as much as possible we can. All right. Well, before we do that, let me go ahead and state this, okay? So we are coming up with a new segment on the show. I know producer is gonna drop the link, and also A class, if you can drop the link for us, so that'd be great. Again, the link for the HITV is where we discuss topics and how we try to run the show, like us in the topics we want to see or the topics that we want to run on the show. And also the link for the Friends of TartarSend is if you have any issue with your TartarSend app, that's where all those conversations and discussions happen. So again, the HITV link is to discuss um, topics that we want to hear on the show. Now, we are trying to come up with a new segment whereby we have panels on board and everything. So we'll put that information in the HRT chat room, and we'll all discuss that. And if you're interested, you're just gonna DM producer that will just take it from there. So that's some cool stuff that we try to bring on board. We try to involve our viewers in our discussions now as we proceed, and we'll talk more about it too. So Lucasi says hi. Is this recorded? Yes. Oh, okay. Producer already responded, so I'm gonna proceed to the next one. CAP says, question: advice on filing jointly if my spouse is in Ghana to get the higher standardized deduction.
If the spouse is in Ghana, do they have a social security number? That will be important because you have to have a tax ID, and and if they are resident social security number, then it doesn't even matter where they are in the world. You can still file with them. The challenge
Okay.
is if they don't have a social security number or tax ID, then you really cannot. You don't have the information to file with them here. Yeah.
Okay. So Simeon asks, can you talk about rideshare and how it works with the regular W-2?
Ride share. Can you expand on that a little bit for me? What is the ride
I
share?
think rideshare is like when it's say if I do Uber, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
rideshare with it. I'm pretty sure that's what he was talking about because that's where I know rideshare to be.
okay. So I know the Uber and then the what was the other one? I just was thinking.
But it could also be people who don't drive and they actually carpool with people to go to work too.
Oh, okay. So
So it's like I'm paying for gas, but technically I don't drive. I don't have a vehicle. that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would need to read a lot because the challenge too is because I don't have some of those things are state specific. They don't have an impact on at the federal level because not every state has ride share. I know for sure Michigan doesn't have that. So I will need to do a little bit of research on that to get back with you. But I don't but if he's talking about the Uber and then the Lyft and all of those things and that, yeah, that's like a contractor, that's a 1099, that's different. Yes.
All right. Producer has dropped the link to the HRTV chat room, so please join and let's
Yeah.
have a good conversation as well. So Cap comes back to says, can you please share the speaker's contact information for those of us who might need to drop off soon? Well, the contact information was shared at the end of presentation. Cap, I'm not sure if you still, but hopefully you come back to watch it and you get to see it as well. And he usually send it to me after every presentation, and I would drop it on the HITV chat room. And also sometimes I think A class also drops to the defense of startups in case people request for it as well. So let's go to the next question. Manav asks, is this for Canada? Manav, this is for US, but I'll let the contact for himself.
Yes, I would say this is for US. Canada has similar but very different rules. So this is I know some people, but I try not to touch Canada because I'm not as familiar with the rules there. I'm very well versed with the US ones. So
Okay, Mr. Sian asks, which amount of debt can be reduced by a credit card company? Good question.
well, so it depends on the credit card company. Like I know for sure, okay, so there's so many levels to it. I don't want to get into the bankruptcies and everything, but different credit card companies have different ways that they work with you. Most of them will try to turn it into a loan so you can pay it off and then they can close the card for you securely. Some because credit card is a consumer debt, meaning when you have a credit card, you're using it to buy items. Most of the time, they don't want to just forgive you unless you file for some level of bankruptcy. But the most that most credit cards will do is they give it to you as a loan so you can pay it off and then you can keep moving. But there are credit cards, or especially the ones with we call them credit unions, or those financial institutions where they will work with you, they'll reduce it, and then they'll help you out. And then sometimes they'll even make you take a class so that you can understand finances, and then they'll give you grants and stuff to reduce your debt. So every financial institution have the way they work around that. So so I would say start by talking to the financial institutions, call them, ask them, do you have any programs? Like I said, it doesn't hurt. And there's thousands of financial institutions in the US, so
Okay.
it's hard to have a one size fit all.
Ebenezer Boyne asks, do you file taxes for students?
Yes. And let me explain this. So I had a lot of students in the past few years that have run into trouble, especially international students that have run into trouble with the IRS where they were filing wrongly. Because you're an international student, you file as a non-resident, 1040 NR. It's different from a resident. And sometimes because people don't know, they don't do it right. And the penalties are very steep. I've
Okay.
had people that have owed over $8,000 because they filed the wrong way. So
Okay.
yeah, be mindful of
Then
that.
Bossman wants to know how much you're charging for filing.
I had to talk to you. We have standard pricing, but everybody's different. Everybody's different. So it's easier to just call and then but it's hard to just throw out a number because
Can you just give a range from where to where based on your
what I can definitely tell you is that for students, okay, our baseline is 280. We always give $100 discount for students. Our baseline is $280. We give $100 discounts for students because, of course, they're students. But that goes up from there. So we don't go below 280. That's what
Okay.
I'll say.
What
Except for
about
students and
our
seniors.
viewers? Is there any discount for our viewers? You know, I'm always going to ask you, so you should have got.
So I've been using Tafta for years, and I'll say if you come through this platform for PK, Now, I told you I have a business partner, so I have to discuss it with the partner. But we could do something to about 10% tune, about a 10% discount, and then we'll have to create we will have to
Cool.
use PK as a code. But yeah, no, definitely, I think we could do something. And
Okay.
we've always worked with TapTap Send, and they've been amazing. So yes, we could work something like that out. But like I said, I need to get a confirmation from and I'll put it on the chat because I'm on the WhatsApp chat too. So I'll put it up there and
Very,
take
very
confirmation.
easy. Very easy. Okay, that also answers your question. Daniel Deck says, do you assist with business registration in the US?
Yes, but every state is very different. Yeah, we do. So I used to let me explain. I used to do that. I used to do that as a thing for free because it's business registration is not that hard. The only thing is because of the time consumption. Now we charge some people, but for those who are able to do it themselves, I can point you in the right direction in my consultation, and you can do it for free. That you can do it yourself. I won't charge you for that. If we do it for you, if we do the work for you, we will charge you for it. But as a way to help, sometimes I'll just point you in the right direction and you can do it yourself for free. Some states is only like $50, some is 100. It's not hard. But if you feel like it's technical and you want us to do the work, then we'll charge for that. But as a way to help, if you are good with reading and doing things yourself, I can point you in the right direction. You can do that for free.
All right. Joe, your question has already been asked. Benjamin Kessie asks, what is the tax strategy on cost segregation?
What kind of cost are you segregating, right? What kind of cost are you trying to?
Whilst we're waiting for Benjamin to come back and answer the question, the Kessie,
Oh, he says real estate.
oh, okay.
So well, real estate is so real estate. Are you doing rental? Because if you do rental, then it's considered what they call passive income, and so it's not subject to self-employment tax. And in that, they look at the cost you can write off differently. And so, PK, what I always encourage everyone to do is it gets really technical and boring, especially for people that are not into that. So if you're into real estate, then you definitely want to talk to an accountant. You want to talk to somebody because there's people do wholesale, people do rental, people do investment. There's everybody in the kind of real estate they do. So it's not one size fit all. And that's why I'm always very big on it's a very specific situation. So your situation may be very different from the next person. But we have answers for all of that. So if you schedule time, remember we do free consultation. Just let's talk and it will help you kind of understand what you do really how taxes impact your specific situation. And we can help.
So can you do me a favor and put in the contact number in the chat while I'm reading the questions as
I
well?
did. I did put it in the chat with a
Okay.
link too. Yeah.
Then I'll get the IKEA asks, does that also have a limit interest on mortgage?
The mortgages, yes. So mortgages, the interest is different. So the limit is not really on the interest, the limit is on the amount of mortgage. I think you can only write off up to 750,000. I think 750,000 is the new. So if your mortgage is, let's say you have a mortgage of 1 million, only up to 750,000 of the
Interest.
interest on it will be used for itemized. So yes, so there is a limit, but it's different.
That makes sense. Producer, thank you for posting the link. Class and also Danny, can you guys please post a link for the Friends of TapTap and thank you. John's iPhone says, can you please talk about Trump's 1,000 investment for kids born from January 2025?
So yes, so beginning July, they are going to start investing that money, I think July 2026. But if you are born this year, January 1 this year, moving forward, the Trump is saying he's going to give you, he's going to invest $1,000 for your child. And then they can take it when so it's $1,000 put in the market. And then when they are, I think it's 18, they
So
can.
it's like you are born with investment stocks.
Yes, and it starts from this year. So if your child was born December 31st, 2020, no, it starts from 2025. So if your child was born December 31st, 2024, they don't count. It's when Trump became president. So those who are that's the way so we can always remember Trump. when he became
Okay.
president.
I think that is a good move. Boston asks, just joined on my phone to get the WhatsApp link. Can you post it again? Producer will post it again. Cap says not yet. No social security number. I think this is for the wife in Ghana.
Oh,
So
okay. So
that
then that makes it hard. There are ways some of the international laws allow it, but I'll be honest with you, the everyone I've seen, there's a leak that moves from
would it be
account
easier
to
for him
legal.
to call your office because I don't want any incriminating stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So call, but that's what I'm saying. It moves from accounting to legal. But if you don't have a social security number, it's almost impossible to.
And Simeon's question was on Uber, so was the Uber share ride? Okay.
Mhm.
Now the number to Nana Kwame Akoa is 989-695-8160, or you can reach him at www.tricitybusinessmi.com. So that is but Akilas also posted the link to the Friends of Tatopsen. Please join that link. That is where if you have any issues or concerns, you post it over there, and also anything Tatopsen related goes over there as well.
I just posted a link to my book on Amazon too. Someone just
Oh
asked.
yes, and by the way, congratulations on that book, man. Does such a great job. It's not easy to become an author, and I understand the vigorous work that goes into it. And I felt that when I did mine, so I understand what it takes. And you talking about financial stuff, it's something that blows a lot of mind, and how people can find some financial freedom. So that is good. And again, that reminds me of Mr. Wuku and brother Kwame Sapa. So please also reach out to them, like I gave their numbers earlier, if you need to talk to them in terms of financial literacy and stuff like that. And also talk to our brother Kwanana Kwame in case you want to get more with an accountant.
Mhm.
Jimmy Cash says, "Hi Nana, please, I need your advice on this. I have to replace my AC heating system. Should I go for a personal loan or use my line of credit? Thanks."
Well, just there's so many things, but just off of what you just asked, I would use a line of credit just because it's a lower, most of the time it's lower interest rate than a personal loan. Remember, a personal loan is unsecured, so it will always have a higher interest. The goal is to pay the least amount of interest. So in this case, in your situation, I'm assuming your line of credit will have lower interest rate, so that's what you go with. But the short answer is go with the one with the least interest rate. So if your personal loan does have a low interest rate, then I guess you could use that. Go with the one with the least interest rate, yes.
All right, we got about 6 more messages. We'll be wrapping up soon. Bright Arhin says, "I have been using TurboTax Expert for a while. I file as an individual. What advice do you have for me? What are the pros and cons of using the TurboTax Expert? They charge $150."
What I will say is that, in all honesty, every time I have looked and reviewed taxes for people that have used any of those automated platforms, that there's a missing piece. And this is why. When I talk to my clients, a lot of times the questions reveal so much more. And there I have uncountable number of situations where we've had to amend taxes to reduce people's tax liability or to help them apply for a certain credit because when it's a one-on-one, you take your time with the client. When you do it's like a retail method when you look at all these online platforms. So they are not curating the services to you. It's a one size fit all. So a lot of times you see gaps. And so it depends, right? But if you really believe that your situation is not as complicated, then that's fine. But every time I've had a chance to review that, we've had to do an amendment or something like that. What I tell people is if I do an amendment, I have to charge you full price because it's like I'm redoing your whole taxes. So then you are now paying twice for the same thing. So it's easier sometimes to work with us directly than to go through that channel.
All right. Then Dick said he's gonna get in touch with you. Benjamin Casio, you already responded to that. Daniel Kamasa says, "How do I get your book?" You already put a link in there, so that's good. And you say you're also gonna put in the HITV chat. So please, Benjamin said he's gonna reach out to you. Felix, as someone said, do you put your name on the tax file when you file for a client?
Yes, because I'm a registered So yeah, we take ownership of everything. But the other thing I'll tell you is that when we file your taxes, we don't just file and leave you hanging. We are open all year. We are an all year business. So every time you get a letter relating to that particular tax we file for you, we will handle it for you. That's our commitment and our guarantee to you. So we
Okay.
work with you when we file and even after that.
All right. Manav, thanks for your question. It's highly appreciated, and I'm glad the producer gave you the best answer. So please reach out to us if you have any resource person from Canada, and we'll be very glad. We have other people trying so hard to help us get a resource person from Canada, but it's like once we get in touch with the lawyers and the businessmen, it's like it always fall through the cracks. John's iPhone says, with Trump's child investment, when they start, how, okay, you already explained that.
Yeah.
Fatih Bamba's iPhone says, I heard on one of the social media handles that people can start earning a return on overtime work of 12,000 as a single applicant and 25,000 as a married applicant. Can you throw more light on that, please?
So the when she uses earning a return, no, it's so over time, it's the tax is how it's taxed, right? It's how it's taxed. So for tip workers, for overtime workers, and those, there is a in the big beautiful bill, there's a new law that does not tax some of those income. And I can get you the details as we work together, but it's not necessarily ending a return, is actually getting those income not taxed up to a certain amount. And I have to get those details. These are a lot of numbers, so I don't have them all off head, but we have the database and the resources to always give you exactly what it is, depending on your situation.
Okay. Um, Benjamin asked for my Instagram. Benjamin, I don't know, so I'm about to go find out and tell you right now. My Instagram is P hyphen K A. No, actually, my Instagram is his Royal Freshness underscore PK. That's my Instagram account, but I think the name of it is P hyphen KAY OFORI-ASENSO. And you see under that, you see HITV CEO slash host military. So when you see that, that is my Instagram. Hopefully you bring in some business so that we can talk more. All right, Benjamin, I'll be expecting your message. Also, you can reach me out on the, if you message on the HITV chat room link and you tell me, hey, this is Benjamin, KSAPK, reach out to me, or producer, reach out to me, I will DM you from there. Sally asked, I think we got two more questions. So today, we're not going to be able to open up our talk call because we've seen that the hackers are around, and once we open it, they will take over. So I'm going to read these last three questions, then we're going to call it a day. Sally will be first, iPhone 17 Pro Max, then Papa Dave's iPhone will be the last question. Sally says, if your spouse just came in December 2025 and has social security number, can you file taxes together? Beautiful question.
Yes, that's that you can. And I will also say, even if you get married on December 31st before midnight, you can still file married filing jointly through the year. The same with if you have a child on December 31st, you can claim that 2,200 for the whole year. So yes, you can file with the person as long as it is within the year 2025.
All
100%.
right. iPhone 17 Pro Max says, please, do you help people in New Jersey to apply for NJ Encore Benefits Program?
No, we do not, and it's because that's not allowed. Mostly when we do taxes, we do file taxes for so many residents in New Jersey, New York, all 50 states. We do all 50 states, but those state-specific programs, those are because those are not taxes. We really don't have that. We don't do that.
No. Our last question for the day. Papa Dave asks, I never received my federal tax refund last year. Can I still receive it? I filed with my tax company last year. Wow.
Yes, you can still receive it. It probably in process. That is why in my presentation I had said these are the words: IRS online accounts. Go in there and it will tell you everything you need to know, your transcript, everything, so that if there's any delay, you'll be able to note what is causing the delay. In fact, if you are going to be receiving a letter from the IRS, it will show up there before you receive it in the mail. So try and get everybody here, please do that one thing. Make sure you have access to your IRS online account. It's one of the easiest way to resolve all your tax issues.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
if you see a problem, you bring it to us, we'll help you out with it. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Nana. God bless you for coming. And want to say thank you so much. Boss must how fast can we file taxes? I need to go to Ghana. I just saw that popped up.
Well,
Boss would always miss that.
for your information, today is the first day the IRS filing opened. So we've been going at it all day. So
Okay.
so today it opened today and it closes April 15th. So just so those of you who don't know, you can start filing today.
All right. I think we need to bring you back as we stood in tax season, maybe sometime next month or maybe March, or I guess. So just, please keep your door open for us as we'll be knocking on it very soon. Well, at this point, I'll let director, sign up. I want to say thank you very much for coming. Again, congratulations on your book, author numero uno. You've been doing a lot of great stuff in the society, and your give back to society is enormous. And I've seen all the works that you've been doing in Ghana, and your corporate social responsibility is very, very not unnoticed. So keep doing the good stuff. And Tatab said that's what Tatab does. And when we see people like this doing their part in the society, it makes the society a better place to live. So I'd like director to sign out with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the director is going to do the sign out, and after that, that's where we end the Facebook and live streaming, and we will all focus on Zoom for the startups and focus. If you have any questions or concerns, please join us over here so that we can discuss that. Even if you have a contribution or something a suggestion that you want to bring up so that we can better startups and for your user experience, please do so. And again, thank you guys very much for being part of us. Director, over to you. And big shout out to all our viewers all over the world. We are so grateful for you guys. Director, over to you. If Director Danny is not available, can Director A-Class give us a sign-up message, please?
For the Damina was it. You know, man, no KWAME. Yamin shock a sick as Kessipa, or Grandpa, or your mind, and 30%. Yeah, any sort baby, for all that you've been doing for us. We are so grateful and so thankful for everything. So, for he did so no, or the good chat room to Western opinion, can reach out to him and he'll be of great service to you. And as Dr. PK said, the 10% in there, I hope and believe when you go and contact his people now, they will definitely endorse it for it to go smoothly for us. So thank you very much, our dear brother Nana KWAME, and God bless you from the people of Tatasen and across the world. We say we love you so much for your services and the good work we're doing for Mother Ghana and the folks out there. God bless you so much.
God bless you too. Thank you.
All right. Nana, it's your turn. You bet your paper.
Okay.
This is where we draw the curtains for tonight's show. Big shout out to our producers and also to yourself. I want to say God bless you. And we love you, but God loves you the best. See you guys next week sometime. And we're going to be meeting with Lawyer Benedicta on some great legal talks. Make sure you get your friends, your loved ones, so that we can all meet together and just have a good discussion. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Uncle Jimmy for the